Hello guys, welcome to ZBrush shoe sculpting. Let me start with the cylinder here and then press T to start editing it, make it polymesh 3D and zero measure it. Oh, sorry, dynamesh it, 32. Dynamesh, turn on symmetry, and then let me stretch it. So the shoe or the boot I'm gonna create will be something more or less like those ones. Okay, maybe have some flipping out part and then maybe some inside variations, some patches on it. Okay, so let me sculpt out the shoe. Okay, the foot part of the shoe. Okay, drag it out, then I mesh it, smooth it out. Okay, of course it doesn't look shouldn't look like this. Let's figure out the bottom view first. So the bottom view, the heel is supposed to be quite thin. Okay, or narrow or small like that. Okay, you think of it as a symmetrical way. The widest part will be some here in the middle. Oh, one more thing I can do before I do those adjustments is make them flat using clip curve, so it's easier to focus on the contour. Okay, so it's wider here, right? It's thinner here in the middle, and then it's also slightly wider for the heel. Okay, if the foot is symmetrical, but it's not symmetrical. So one more thing to do after that is turn off symmetry and then just drag it this way, shift it that way, and then there should be a fairly good left foot. You may want to maybe make that contour on the outside of the foot more flattened, the other side is more curved, and that's basically it. Okay, now let's move on to the front view. Okay, it doesn't look nice at all. So I can mask the bottom because I already took that, and I can use the move brush to maybe move it up, especially the middle part should be bigger here. If you think about the shape of the foot, it's actually more or less like a simple triangle shape or this kind of shape. Okay, so don't do too much variation, it doesn't have that much. Let me smooth it out here, at least the basic shape. Okay, alright, so another characteristic, it will be the back actually having some you know, thickness there because your foot grows that way. Okay, let's drag it back a little bit. Alright, then I mesh it one more time and smooth out stuff. Okay, now from the side view, another characteristic of course is that the bottom is not a flat plane, right? It's curved up, especially on the top. The bottom should be higher a little bit. Okay, so let's do that. So what I can do is mask and then drag them down. Oh. Okay. Then I mesh it and then start clipping out. So something like that. Maybe I did it. That doesn't feel correct though. So I'm gonna go up a little bit, right? Okay, well, that doesn't really feel quite nice, so I'm gonna actually just mask the top, the front, and then use a transpose tool and then just rotate that up. Okay, oh, why did I have the bottom like that? Let me drag that again, smooth the mask. Okay, create a transpose. You can have the starting point there that will make everything pivot and rotate up that way. Okay, mask more and then do that and rotate up, and then maybe a little bit more for the tip to that. Okay, alright, those are very easy to clean up, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay. And here at the bottom, maybe I can just clip out that fairly easily like this. Okay, so that is the contour for the set view. So you have this curvature here. Make the hue higher. Actually push it in using edge polish. Okay. And for the bottom view, it should look like this. Okay. All right. So with the basic shape set it up, let's move on to more detailed stuff. Okay, I think maybe here I wanted to kind of shift this in a little bit. Okay. Don't want it to look like it's tilting out the other way. All right. Okay. So let's say I'm happy with the shape I'm getting now. So what do I do next? Well, one particularly visible variation is that the bottom is a different material, right? It's kind of like a rubber or plastic. I'm not quite sure, but it's bigger and it has the variations at the bottom. So I'm gonna go to sculpt and then duplicate this guy. So what's ironic here is those two buttons, deleting and duplicating, are two very opposite direction operations, and they put those two together. So sometimes you click the wrong thing. Anyway, the new duplicated one will be dragged down like this. Okay, and also use clip curve to just clip out the top ones. I don't need that. That gives me this. Can also clip out that. So I don't need that, or the other one on the other side. Okay, doesn't have to be precise, just smooth it out and dynamesh it. Okay, so now I have a bottom duplicated. A little problem is that it's not wide, right? It's not like the bottom should be wider in most of the cases. Okay, so what I can do is, of course, drag things out. Okay, so it would be easier to look at it this way. So just drag the thickness out. All right. Okay. Now one more thing, of course, is that the heel is not like this, right? The back should be extruding out. I can mask some of the faces from the back, invert the mask, and then just drag it down to extrude out that, and maybe shift it forward a little bit. But before I do that, after dragging down, I can also, because I don't want that to tilt forward, I can mask that too, and then drag that forward. Okay, because that's going to be tilting in. Okay, dynamesh it. Okay, for the front part, I should have something like that. Let me hold it down Control and change my stroke to lasso. That way I can use lasso to draw my mask and invert it. Okay, let me drag it down and then create another transpose line, stretch it up like that. Okay, more or less. So for now, what I'm doing is just the basic shapes. Maybe it's more rounded here. Not quite sure because they're all kind of different on different shoes. Anyway, all right, let me dynamesh it again. So that's basically the bottom shape. After that, I can, of course, maybe start polishing it a little bit. I think they're all too thick though. Maybe I can use clip curve to, clip that up, make it thinner like that, and dynamesh it. Okay, depending on what kind of shoe you're doing. Maybe the bottom heel is like too much over there, so I'm gonna go mask that, and now those, and the top, just to be able to drag that in to shift it back. Okay, so proportion is important. Make sure you have that correct. Alright, now I have the bottom quite nicely laid out. So, how do I give it more detail? Well, I think one of the things is that the resolution is really low because I'm using a 32-bit, sorry, 32 resolution on the Dynamesh, so I'm gonna go there and change the Dynamesh to something higher, like 128 and Dynamesh again, just to get more resolution to work on. That way I can just use my edge polish to polish it. Okay. If that's going to be harder for you to just polish through this entire surface, you can try multiple polishing things, like, you know, underneath the deformation you have polish too. You can polish it this way. Okay, oftentimes it will make it nice and smooth. It will polish throughout the entire surface, and then you can use edge polish to maybe, you know, poach some of the edges. Okay. Notice that when you're poaching them in two. Okay. Don't worry about that. You can always just drag them out very easily. So the point here is to create a sharp, clean, and nice shape. Okay. And don't worry too much about making them quite perfect. They are not. Okay. Even in realistic ones, they are not perfect anyways. So why do we make them super perfect anyways? So some smoothing on the edge. Okay. I think I want to have some sharper cutting here. Cut that out. Okay. Can use edge polish to polish it more. Okay, you can hold it down out to polish that edge back to create a fairly sharp edge. Okay, just some polishing, pushing, moving around, just make it, you know, looks good enough, if not 100% clean, which is not the goal here. Because later on I'm gonna retopologize it in Maya. I have to do texturing later. I'm gonna bake normal map. You know, those kind of things will clean up the smaller artifact you have anyways. So okay, now I have the bottom part created like this. So what else do I do on it? Well, it does have some more detail on it. If you look at it carefully, you see that some of the shoes have the bottom. If you look at those shoes, you can see that those little little smaller holes or concave part. Okay, just to enhance the friction, I think, when you're running. That kind of helps to anchor your foot on the ground better. Okay, if my theory is correct. So we can do that too here. Fairly simple. So what you can do is just use a Dynamesh with subtraction shapes. So what I'm going to do here is using the insert cube brush. Okay. And then drag out a cube, okay, and then holding down shift to drag out another transpose line, and use move to stretch it that way, and then another transpose line in the other direction, and just, you know, make it thinner, and then drag it there. Okay, so that's the first one. You want to make sure you have the correct position, and also because the contour is rotating, you want to do that too. Okay, one more here. Of course, you can create more complicated shapes if you wanted to, you know, mimic the bottom there could be some pattern underneath the bottom. You can try to do that, but you know, for demonstration purposes, I'm just gonna use this to quickly do the contour, because depending on if your project needs to see the bottom of the shoe or not, and don't do the things that's not gonna be seen anyways. Go there. Maybe one more. Rotate it this way. Okay. Oh, I also need that. The same thing on the back. So here. I think it's tilted a little bit. Three, four. Okay. If you look at the polygroups here, they're insert, and then they're all positive groups. You can isolate that and then change that to subtraction by going to polygroup and then group as dynamic subdivision. They will turn to be a white color, and then if you do the dynamic meshing, they will be used as a subtraction shape. Okay, I did that way is because it's just easier to see the cube. If you do Alt and drag, it's gonna be like that. You can of course fix that problem after you drag in the cube by going to display properties and turn on double. Okay, so you can do that way if you wanted to. Anyway, all right, so I have those smaller dipping in part there now. I can of course use smooth to make them smoother, because I don't really need them to be super sharp anyways. Now another characteristic could be there is that it could have some sort of line on the top, especially for that one. You have actually an extra layer of stuff over there. Okay, so what I can do here is use the slash curve. Okay, I slash that. Oh, before I do that, let me also Control W to give everything a single polygroup. If I slash that, okay, that's gonna give it a polygroup on the top. Okay, now what you want to do is Control Shift and click on it, and then go to geometry. I can go for this poly loop, edge loop, actually panel loop. Oh, sorry, group loop. What group loop does is it smoothes it and also create multiple loops on that edge. But I don't want it to be smooth, so I can turn off the G polish to 0 and then do that. That's not gonna smooth it, but it will also give me the things I needed. Okay, and then I can Control and click there. Okay, and then go deformation and then inflate. Somehow inflate always causes potential crashes, so I'm gonna save it first by pressing Control S. I think my hard drive is waking up. I'm using a traditional old school mechanic hard drive, so it's gonna be a little bit slow here, but anyway, let me save it. Alright, and then what I can do is just inflate it in, okay, to create a small indentation there. Okay, invert the mask, and I can maybe smooth out that little edge there too, just to have some more fancier variation on the shoe, like that, you know. So, alright. If you want to create more, you can, you know, do more variations, like maybe drag a line or stitching here. But for stitching though, I think ZBrush is not the best tool to do that anymore, because first of all, you need to have a really high resolution model to be able to do that. The second thing is, although you can do that quite nice and cleanly, how do you texture it? That's going to be a big problem here, so I'm going to leave that for Substance Spinner instead. Okay. Alright, so I have the bottom created like this. Okay, let me go back to the original top part. Now it's time to create those different patches. Okay, but let me leave that for the next tutorial. Okay, so the first step here in this tutorial will be creating the bottom, the big shapes and the bottom. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I will see you soon in the next tutorial.